Welcome back. I'm Pratap Singh. You're joining us on Newsx. Our big focus this hour, the Israel-Iran conflict has taken a dangerous turn. As per reports, at least 3 nuclear sites have been struck in Isfahan, in fact, Arak as well as Bushehr. Israel, though, has denied this last strike. Russia has warned that the escalation could be at the level of Chernobyl. On the other hand, Iran is now launching cruise missiles which propel themselves throughout their flights and struck an hospital in Israel. Let's in fact take a look quickly at the Israel strikes that have been struck and then discuss this dangerous escalation in detail with our guests. So these, of course, are some of the details emerging about some of the sites which have been struck allegedly by Israel in the last 24 hours. Let's quickly take you through those details. So these are, of course, potential nuclear bases of Iran which have been hit, which obviously have been the target. Let's quickly tell you about them. This is the first site, Bushehr nuclear plant. Reportedly, it is 1200 kilometers away from Tehran. That's the kind of distance that it is away from Tehran, 1200 kilometers. That's a Bushehr nuclear plant there. This is what it looks like currently. This is, of course, what it looked like before. And after the hit, you can see, of course, there has been damage to the different areas there, the industrial area and the reactors, of course, they've all been damaged. This is satellite imagery, which you can clearly see, shows, of course, the damage that has been done to this plant after that strike. If we tell you more about this, then it was, of course, started in 1975. That's when the first construction began by Germany. And interestingly, work had stopped, though, during the 1979 Islamic Revolution there at this particular site. Then cut to 1995. Russian Atomstroy Export, of course, was named as the main exporter, main contractor, beg your pardon, of this particular site to develop it. Russia's, of course, Atomstroy Export was the main contractor that was, of course, named for this particular site. And of course, then cut to August 2013 is when its operational control was in fact then transferred to none other than Iran, which is why, interestingly, we've seen a Russian statement as well on these strikes condemning them, interestingly. Now, in November 2014, Russia signed an agreement to build 2 nuclear reactors as well there in Iran. This agreement was signed between Russia and Iran. This would mean then that there would be 4 reactors with a capacity of 4,000 megawatts, and of course 3,000 would be the surrounding population around this particular site there in Bushehr. This is an unconfirmed video of that particular site after the strike. You can see there it seems to be on fire, a huge blaze in that particular area. Let's tell you now about another particular site. This is Isfahan. It is a combined cycle power plant. It's about 300 kilometers away from Tehran. So the distance is 300 kilometers, not much of a distance at all from the capital of Iran, Tehran. This is what that site looked like before, and this is what it looks like now. You can see, of course, in this satellite imagery, clearly a lot of damage has happened. These black holes have developed there. It seems that it's been hit, and there has been considerable amount of damage to that particular site. Now telling you about another nuclear facility, Natanz nuclear facility. This is 250 kilometers, again not too far at all away from Tehran. This is the region where it is in Iran, the Natanz nuclear facility. And here's another satellite image that has been accessed by us, which shows you this is what it looked like earlier, and now this is what that site looks like after, where you can clearly see, of course, damaged equipment and buildings. And of course, this is reportedly the reactor there, the pilot fuel enrichment plant, which has been destroyed. You can see the big black hole where this reactor once stood. Also, a lot of other equipment and buildings damaged. Big black marks, they obviously depict the kind of impact of these strikes. So that, of course, is the situation now at those particular facilities. This has happened reported in the last 24 hours. Interestingly, the last strike, I believe, Israel is denying. But of course, Iran is claiming that who else then could have done that strike apart from them. Now, joining us to discuss this further is Anat Bernstein-Reich, President, Israel Asia Chamber of Commerce. Dr. Ravi Gupta, former DRDO Director, also joins us live. Rohan Gunaratna, International Affairs Expert, is also with us on the broadcast. Anat, let me begin with you first. more strikes happening in Iran currently. These latest ones, of course, targeting those facilities, those reactors. That is obviously the intention of the Israeli leadership and the military, as they've stated earlier. What do you make of these latest damage reports and the statements as well that have come in after them from Iran and also Russia?
I mean, from the beginning, first, good evening, good day. From the beginning, Israel very clearly said that they have a bank of goals, objectives that they want to achieve in various sites of nuclear development, whether it's the uranium enrichment or the heavy water site and so on. So the Israeli Air Force is systematically working to dismantle Iran from its nuclear capabilities as they go closer to military nuclear capability. And we will work, Israel will work until, as much as possible, they fulfill the goals that they have set down right from the beginning. I haven't seen the pictures that you are showing, but I do want to talk about, and if you'll allow me, to talk about the hits done by Iran in Israel. And that's more troubling me because we are working against very clear objectives, and Iran in an asymmetric way are sending missiles our way that are hitting hospitals and residential areas and research institute. All of them are civilians, indistinctive, and they still think that we will stop. I mean, the way that they behave just shows their intention to annihilate Israel very clearly. They have stated time and again that that's their mission in life. Khamenei, that's what he said he is doing. And we will not let it happen. We will not wait for the last minute for this to happen.
Yes, Anat, however, the last strike, interestingly, has been denied by Israel. I think the one in Natanz or the one in Bushehr has been denied by Israel.
So I really don't know because I'm a businesswoman. I'm not in the Israeli army or the defense ministry. Usually when Israel is doing something that they are proud of doing, especially when it's dismantling a nuclear site. So we'll have to wait and see who did it. Maybe there are other countries in the region that would like this to happen. I cannot comment on that.
Yes. Now, Russia has commented again, and they've said that the damage and the escalation could be at the level of Chernobyl within Iran. What do you make of this latest statement by Russia?
Statements are being thrown to the air very easily recently by many leaders. I wouldn't take it so seriously. No check was done. I know that the International Nuclear Organization did investigate few hits in Iranian sites, and they said all is clear. So I think that before rushing to conclusions or really taking seriously some statements, we will have to see if there is anything that happened. It's too early to say, I would say.
Okay, it's too early to say is what you're clearly saying. Also, Anat, has there been retaliation? What are the reports that you are getting by Iran in the last 12 to 14 hours? What is the situation in Israel?
So I just came out of a siren. I mean, the fact that I joined a few minutes after 4 is because we had siren here. We just had 24 missiles hitting Israel, hitting civilian population. That's the absurd here. We are hitting targeted sites. They are just throwing their bombs all over since it's now actually 1 week. In the past 1 week, Israel got almost 500 missiles towards Israel. Many, thanks God, were intercepted. But unfortunately, this is not a fully proof interception system. And those that fall on residential, create lots of damage. People are using the shelters or the safe rooms, so the casualty are much less than what could have happened if the missiles hit people. I do want to talk about the hospital. We're talking about a major hospital that was hit on Wednesday, a hospital that serves the entire population of south of Israel in the city of Beersheba. The missile landed in the center of the hospital, creating damage to the entire hospital. It's a hospital that serves over a million and a half people in this region, including Bedouin and Arabs. So Iran are attacking their own brothers, I would say. When Israel hit hospitals in Gaza, let me remind, and which were actually the command centers of Hamas, the world shouted. I don't see condemnation for such a thing happening now. And this is a direct hit intended for a hospital. So the hospital is now rearranging. Many patients were shifted to other hospitals. Many were sent home for home treatment. But this is a major attack that needs to be condemned categorically by everyone, that a hit of a hospital is unacceptable. Weizmann Institute, the leading research institute in the world, one of the 10 leading research institutes, got 2 missiles hit. Buildings were collapsed. A research of years in cancer, Alzheimer, Parkinson, gone down and need to rebuild. And this is an institute that really contribute to humanity. They don't develop war heads or anything. And of course, it's clear that those missiles were targeted to the Weizmann Institute to damage such an institute, such a wonderful thing that is one of the pride places of Israel. So this is the way they behave. Next to my old office in the diamond bourse of Ramat Gan, Iran sent a cluster bomb. A cluster bomb is illegal in the world. A cluster bomb is a bomb that spread into small bombs and create, I would say, more damage over a wider area. Illegal to do. Of course, Iran is not following anything that is agreed in the world.
Let me also join Dr. Ravi Kumar Gupta. Dr. Ravi Kumar Gupta, what do you make of these latest strikes? Reportedly, the nuclear reactors, other facilities have been targeted in these latest strikes close to Tehran. These sites, of course, were between 200 to about 500 kilometers away from Tehran. What do you make of the damage that has been reported and these reports coming in?
Well, sitting here, we don't know actually what is exactly going on. But one thing is certain: once the nuclear sites are attacked, the damage is not going to be contained to a limited area. It is going to be a widespread damage and a long-term damage when the radiation leaks out. Now, I'm not putting anybody blame on any one particular site. Iran says it has got right to defend its own territory. Israel, on the other hand, has been facing a war against terror for a long time. And in my opinion, once a civilian facility, especially a hospital, is attacked, then the country is free to attack in whatever manner and retaliate in whatever manner within its capabilities. I can draw a parallel from what we faced in 26/11 in 2008, or what we faced in Pahalgam very recently, when civilians were targeted. Of course, Pulwama and other things, when the military was targeted, okay, even though they were not in war, the military, when we are not at war and anybody targets our military, it is as good as the civilian. But the matter of fact is that the 26/11 and the Pahalgam attack was purely on civilians and a crime against humanity. Similarly, when anybody is attacking a hospital, it is a crime against humanity. Now, the damage, once the war escalates, And whether anybody uses a nuclear bomb or whether the nuclear facilities get hit during the war, the damage is going to be very, very widespread and on a very long-term basis, not contained to the country in which it is being targeted. We have seen what happened during Chernobyl. We have seen what happened during Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And to that extent, I would say so far, Israel has behaved as a very responsible nuclear power, like we have behaved. 26/11, 2008, we had nuclear bombs. And what Pakistan had, everybody knows now. Their bluff of nuclear being a nuclear power is already out in the open. So, but we followed restraint. We didn't use our nuclear arsenal against Pakistan, a terrorist state. Pahalgam happened. Pahalgam, in terms of quantitative terms, okay, 26/11 was on a much larger scale. But if you talk of quality, the two attacks, whether it is a Pahalgam attack or whether an attack on a hospital in Israel, the two are equally heinous crimes. And India was free. After that, India was fully free to attack Pakistan with nuclear bombs. We did not do it. Unlike the only nuclear attack which took place in 1945 against Japan, where the two cities were destroyed. That was a very, very irresponsible act by a nuclear power. So we followed restraint. So far, Israel is following a lot of restraint by not using their own nuclear weapons. So to that extent, I would say, once it happens, once the nuclear, either.
Rohan Gunaratna, what do you make of these latest locations targeted by Israel, and a denial also interestingly that's come in at the end of one of these sites. But do you believe that this is going to be what we're going to continue to see in the next 24 to 48 hours? The target, the objectives are very precise of the Israelis, and these nuclear facilities and reactors then will continue to be the targets, isn't it? Rohan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, that question was for you.
Okay. Having visited both Iran and Israel, I would like to say that the categories of targets, IDF, Mossad, and the other Israeli entities are targeting can be classified into 6. One is the Iranian air defense. Second is the nuclear sites, including the nuclear development sites, the missile and the drone sites, and the military industry, what you call the military industrial complex. And of course, the IRGs, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, the high-ranking leaders. And the 6th category is the nuclear scientists and the nuclear researchers. But what we are seeing is an escalation, especially after the financial district of Israel was targeted and the Weizmann Institute was targeted and the hospital was targeted in South Israel. It is very likely that Israel will expand its target bank to include also the political leadership that gives the directive and the guidance to the military leaders in Iran. So certainly the conflict is escalating. We are also seeing a new phase in conflict. That is, the Americans, the Brits, and a number of other countries, they're moving their capabilities into the Middle East. And it is very likely that the United States and the UK will participate in the campaign, will join the Israeli efforts to dismantle the nuclear capability of Iran.
Yes, indeed. Rohan Gunaratna, also the kind of geopolitics now. Russia, interestingly, continuing to caution Israel, to ask for restraint from Israel. Russia now saying Chernobyl disaster is in the making. What is the geopolitics at play here?
So Russia and China are allies of Iran. We have seen very clearly from the statements issued from Russia and China that they have continued to support Iran over a very long period of time. It's not only statements, but in the past, we have seen very significant Iranian military capabilities have been provided by Russia and China. So this is at the heart of this conflict is a geopolitical conflict. Certainly once the Americans join the fight, there will be greater intervention on the part of Russia and China.
All right, Ravi Kumar Gupta, quickly coming to you, what are we going to see now in the next 48 to 72 hours? If the aim by Israel is indeed to wipe out any sort of possibility of Iran, going nuclear, making this weapon, then what is going to follow in the next 2 to 3 days as this conflict steps up? Which are going to be the targets? What is going to be the strategy? What's your sense?
First of all, if you talk of next 72 days, 2 hours, I think I don't see any possibility of de-escalation. I wish that the de-escalation takes place for the sake of humanity. But if you analyze the kind of happenings which have been taking place during the last few days or weeks, I don't see any possibility of any significant de-escalation. And as Mr. Gunaratna has just now stated, there is the likelihood of Russia and China also intervening. America is already declaring that it may intervene. So there is all the more possibility of further escalation, which would mean a kind of a nuclear disaster, because as Israel is very much determined not allowing Iran to become a nuclear power, and the number of sites which Iran had long ago when earlier Israel had attacked, a lot of things have changed. Their sites are much more larger in number.
Yes.
And the quantum of the radiation and the nuclear fallout which is going to happen once these are attacked.
Anath, would you urge the United States to also get involved? Would that be your expectation as an Israeli citizen?
Hear you. There was a. Can you repeat your question?
Would you urge the United States to get involved? Is that your expectation as an Israeli citizen?
Of course, of course. I urge Mr. Trump to get into action. We need his support to really fulfill the mission, which is not just for the sake of Israel, it's for the sake, we were talking about crimes against humanity. So it is for the entire humanity to dismantle Iran from its power, because it will be used against Israel first, and then it will be used also against India, because Iran equals Pakistan, and then it comes to India.
Pakistan is interestingly playing a double game, which obviously has exposed them, of trying to cozy up, to the US, trying to, toe both lines. Interestingly, although Israel, of course, as you're saying, Israel and Pakistan do not get along. But interestingly, Donald Trump claiming that Pakistan is sympathizing with the US. That's what Asim Munir has told him. So that exposes the Pakistanis completely, doesn't it? They are no one's friends.
Pakistan is playing friends with whomever they want, and I'm not a commentator on Pakistan. I think that you would be able better to talk about Pakistan. But we saw Minister Asif talking in favor of Iran a few days back. We remember that the Irani nuclear bomb is actually a gift given by Pakistan many years back. So we know the history,
yes,
and we understand that eventually Iran will give Pakistan more new capabilities that they are developing now.
Okay. As you're saying, you're doing this not just for Israel, but for humanity. Let's leave it at that. My thanks to our guests for joining us. Let's slip into a short break, much more on the other side.